Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. Man, it has been a while again. We are back here with another Gran Turismo Sport Racing video. So this was the FIA Nations race from a week ago from the recording of this video. This was the open tuning race for the GReddy 1 make over at Tokyo Expressway East Outer Loop. And we're just going to go ahead and get started right away. No shenanigans at the start, let's just get this started. So we ended up qualifying in 9th place, which is an okay spot. I feel like I could have done a lot better, but 9th place, we'll see if we can make our way up from there. So as I mentioned earlier, this was an open tuning race, so a lot of things were adjustable from the drivetrain to the transmission. I ended up grabbing the tuning from PX7 Windfire, who ended up helping all of us out, so make sure you give him a big thanks whenever you see him around. So as we enter the first turn, things are already getting pretty crazy. This is a typical start of the Tokyo Expressway East Outer Loop, and I'm going to go ahead and join in on the fun, give the car ahead of me a little boop to encourage him to go faster. But that's going to make me go a little slower, and now I am bunched up. I'm afraid that these guys are going to do a rolling block on me. Okay, maybe they're not, but I'm just slowly falling behind, except things are getting a little bit hectic now. We're entering the chicane to death, going too wide into this turn, getting a little boop from the behind, and things are going to be a little close, just trying to squeeze on by. So we're down to 10th place. We ended up losing one position after all these shenanigans just from lap 1. And if this is how it's going to be in this race, then I am honestly not looking forward to the next several laps. So we're just going to go ahead and hang just behind 9th place. We're going to see if we can try to make a move on them when we go to the main straight, which is just after this hairpin. But before we do that, we're going to be attacked by our friend Wise over here. Hello Wise, how are you doing today? But we're just going to see if we can try to defend our position, as something ended up happening. There's a car that's coming in a little wide. 2 cars coming in wide. I don't even know where 8th place came from. So we're going to be one big happy family, all bunched up together. And I'm going to try to maintain this slipstream unless all the cars veer left. And of course, they're all going to veer left. So Wise is going to end up getting the slipstream. He's going to go a little faster than me. And unfortunately, there's not much I can do except wait for him to fully pass me, so then I can just hang out right behind them. So now we're in the slipstream as well. We're just going to see if we can try to survive this first turn. Hopefully everyone knows where to brake. Hopefully we don't get punted. Brake just after the 200-meter board. Just try to tuck on in to the right side, as someone ended up making contact with the wall. So we're going to see if we can try to make a move, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to. We're just getting bunched up here. Make a little collision with the wall, which is just enough to get passed by 2 cars. So this is not turning out well. We still have a couple of laps to try to make something good happen, but we're just going to see if we can try to somehow make our way through this mess, as these 2 cars are about to go too wide into the chicane of death. I'm going to try to squeeze on by on the left, but no, I'm going to get tapped, end up making contact with the wall. A lot of cars making contact with the wall, and I get a penalty. Oh gosh, and now things are just really going downhill from here. I'm honestly just not having it at this point, to the point where I accidentally bump into someone, and I'm kind of just letting my emotions get over me. I am getting pretty mad at this point, just mad that things are not going the way that I want it to go. So I should be serving this penalty coming up in a moment, and I'm going to have to really hope that when I serve the penalty, I can hopefully stay within the slipstream of the cars ahead of me, or at least the cars that are just hanging out right behind me. So we're going to go ahead and serve it, and we don't lose too much time. We do end up getting passed by 1 person, and it looks like we will be able to hang out within the slipstream of the big group of cars hanging out right behind us. So I'm just going to go ahead and tuck in behind this car just up ahead, just fast forward through this. And I'm just trying to think, what the heck am I going to have to do to try to make up all these positions that I've lost. These first 2 laps have just not gone the way that I wanted to go. We're just going to just try to drive around, just try to stay within the slipstream, try not to battle too much. and see if we can hopefully make up a couple positions here and there. So I think for now we're just going to see if we can try to catch up to 16th place, as there is a bit of a small gap between him and 17th place. So if 17th place and I can get close to them, then that's going to help us out a little bit, as things are slowing down a little bit and I end up bumping into 17th place. Am I going to get a penalty? No, as some cars are colliding into the chicane of death and one car ends up spinning out, another car ends up getting a 2-second penalty, and we do end up making up 2 positions. We're going to see if we can try to make another move over here, possibly going too wide into the left turn up ahead, and we are going to be able to squeeze on through. The car in 13th place does have a penalty, so we can try to see if we can get a little bit closer to them, but we're not going to be out of the woods just yet, because this is a track where slipstream is going to be a huge key in keeping up with others, and the slipstream is still pretty strong to this date. So we're still going to have to worry about the cars hanging up behind us within the 1.5 second gap, as I'm going to see if we can try to squeeze on through. No, not really. So we're just going to hang out right behind our friend Judica for the time being. I don't know what happened with that car getting a 2.5 second penalty for some reason. So we're just going to hang out right behind our friends in 12th and 13th place, going to see if we can try to make a move, except we have a new challenger making his way through. He's going to fly past the 2 of us, and I'm going to go for the inside attack. Here comes a 900 IQ strategy. They're going to go a little wide, just squeeze on through on the inside, and we end up making 1 and 2 places. There we go, that's a job well done. We're going to see if we can try to maintain 13th place for the time being, and just hang out right behind Judica for the time being. 11th place is not too far away, so we all end up working together. It is possible that we can try to catch up to them and try to make up a couple more places along the way. But once again, this is if we can try to work together as well. That working together, I guess it's not going to happen today. So we're just going to end up battling each other, just try to see who ends up killing the other first. But that little battle between us did end up costing us some time, and 13th place is going to end up passing us. So at this point nothing really happens, so we're just going to skip on by to the start of the 5th lap. 11th place is still not too far away, so it is still possible to try to reach them. And 12th place does end up making a bit of a collision with the wall. We're going to see if we can try to squeeze on by somewhat. Not really, we're going too wide through that turn. We're going to see if we could try to get a bit of that good old slipstream to try to pass our friend Judica, and unfortunately we are not going to end up getting that slipstream, so we're going to have to see if we could try to tuck on in right behind our friend. There we go. So we're going to wait for a new opportunity to come, and we're going to end up bumping into each other, as the 2 cars ahead of us ended up bumping into the wall at the chicane of death. And that's the really hard thing about the chicane of death, is that if there's a collision going on there, it's nearly impossible to avoid hitting them. But we did end up getting into 13th place, so now we're going to have to see if we can try to pass 12th place and somehow just try to make a break for it. I mean, it's going to be really difficult, especially with this long straight just up ahead, but for now we're just going to hang out right behind our friend in 12th place. He does end up going a little bit wide, but he's going to take 12th place back, and we're all bunched up together, so we're going to be having a little bit of fun just getting the slipstream out of each other and do a little bump drafting along the way. So now it is time to get ready to brake. We're going to see if we can try to outbrake 12th place, and we are going to barely outbrake him. Just try to leave him a little bit of space, just trying to maintain our position. And there we go, we got 12th place back, and now it is time to see if we can try to break away from them. And we actually did break away from them, as we skip on over to the 8th lap. I mean, after that nothing ended up happening, so we'll just skip on over to the very end of the race. So we ended up getting 12th place, but honestly I was not too happy with this result. Honestly, things just didn't go right. I was not happy with this result. I was thinking, man, I mean, I know we have the 3rd slot, but I probably shouldn't even do it. So I decided that I am not going to do the third slot. So I lied about that. We're actually going to go ahead and do the third slot, but I was feeling pretty nervous, so I decided to ask the lobby to send me some memes to help me feel a little better, but unfortunately the instructions were unclear and we're going to end up getting something else instead. So back to the actual race, we ended up qualifying pretty high up this time. The qualifying wasn't too interesting, which is why I'm not going to show it, but we did end up qualifying 4th place, so hopefully things are going to go up from there. We do have the DNA boys hanging out with us today, and DNA DC is in 1st place, so we have more DNA guys hanging out with us, which is always pretty fun. So 4th place, we're going to see if we can try to keep up with 3rd, 2nd, and 1st place, because these guys are all pretty darn fast. And this is not going to be an easy race because we have a bunch of fast players hanging out in front and behind us. So it is time for us to get our A+ game down. Let's go ahead and get this started. Alright, so the substream is going to help us quite a bit in keeping up with the cars ahead of us, and the cars behind us, they're going to be able to keep up with us as well. So it is going to be a matter of just trying not to kill each other when we enter the first turn, and I'm not going to lie, I am pretty nervous about this. Just checking to make sure on the bottom right hand corner of the screen that I have everything set up right, and we do. So let's go ahead and brake for the first turn and hope for the best. So we're going to brake just past the 200-meter board, and we're going to get really close to 3rd place, end up bumping into them as things are getting a little bumpy over here. Are we going to get a penalty? No, actually we're not going to get a penalty, but we're all very close together, and we ended up getting a good exit. So we're going to see if it is possible to pass 3rd place, and we're going to pass them on the outside. Now we can see if we can try to hold our position as we enter the chicane of death, and we are able to. We'll secure 3rd place for the time being. Now it is time to see if we could try to make a move on 2nd and 1st place, as 1st place does end up grinding with the wall for a little bit, so we're going to get even closer to 1st place. So at this point it is up to us to decide whether we want to try to force them to just try to murder each other, or if we're just going to hang out behind them and just sit back, relax, and wait until a later time before we start to make a move on them. But unfortunately, the guy behind me, our friend Mr. Dibbler over here, he doesn't have the same plans as us, so we're going to be on the attack for the time being. So I guess we're going to have to try to balance this out. And we do have to brake for this next turn, and honestly I'm not going to mind if our friend Dibbler does end up passing us for now, as we're all going to be very close to each other, as 2nd place is going to be losing control a little bit, and I'm just going to try to squeeze on to the left, just try not to get into that mess, but I ended up getting myself into a bit of a mess with our friend Wise. But other than that, everything's looking okay for now. It's just a matter of trying to catch up to 1st place, but we should be within his slipstream, so we shouldn't have to worry about him breaking away from us. So we are going to be approaching the 1st turn again, and we're going to see how we go about it. Brake a bit on the inside, just try to survive this 1st turn, as 1st place does end up going a little bit wide, ends up getting passed by 2 cars, but unfortunately I couldn't make the move. But 5th place is going to be making a move against us, but we're going to try to hold our position for the time being, just try not to mess this up, and try to catch up to 3rd place because he's starting to break away from us, and we really want to make sure that he does not break away from us, because the moment that he does, then 1st place is going to be impossible to get unless if they all kill each other. But let's just focus on the now. We do end up going through this chicane a little bit faster, so we are able to get back right behind 3rd place. We're thinking about making a move? No, not really. We're just going to hang back for now. So we skip on over to the start of the 3rd lap, still hanging out behind them, and we are under the slipstream, so we're going to catch up to them as we start to brake right now, and they're going to get a little bunched up. We're going to see if we can try to make a move, as first and second place are getting in a bit of a collision. And first place gets a penalty for being bumped into? Well, alrighty then. That's the penalty system working at its best. Not. So our friend is unfortunately going to end up with a 2-second penalty. So eventually, as long as we don't do anything stupid, we will be able to get into third place for a bit. But if the penalty is served pretty quickly, then he's going to be able to hang out right behind us again and claw his way back to first place. So we're going to fast forward through this because nothing really happens. So now our friend in second place is going to serve his 2-second penalty, but by the time we pass him, his penalty is already done with, so he's going to be catching up with us very soon. He should be within our slipstream, and they are going to ride right behind us, so he's going to be hanging out right behind us. He's not going anywhere. So we'll go ahead and fast forward through all of this, just trying to stay within the slipstream, as first and second place are going to go ahead and switch positions. Just try to break on the inside. We're going to see if we can try to make a move on them sometime soon, even though we still have like 4 laps to go. And we're just going to go through this second turn, just try to go through it cleanly, as second place does end up making a collision with the wall. So we're going to see if we can try to make a move on them, and yes we are, and the slipstream is going to help us a bit on that as well. So now it is up to us to see if we can get really close to first place and see if we want to just hang out right behind them or try to make a move on them. We're just going to go through this chicane as smoothly as possible, just trying not to lose our cool through there. And we are going to end up getting a good exit out of the turn, so we're not going to be hanging out right behind our friend in first place. So I think it's going to be a good idea just to hang back for now and wait until the main straight before we try to pass them, or not, as we end up getting a good exit and we're going to go ahead and bring ourselves to first place or second place again, just going too wide through there. I want a piece of that first place. I want to see what that first place tastes like. And we are going to be accompanied by our friend in third place. He's going to be hanging out right behind us, but we are kind of blocking him, so he's not going to go anywhere. So we're just going to go ahead and go through this hairpin, just try to survive it, just try to give each other space, do not hit the barrels, and well, nothing ends up happening. So that was a fun little battle, but now it is time to go ahead and have a little fun with the slipstream. So as we fast forward through this, we're going to get closer and closer and make the pass. And for the first time in the top split, we are in first place. And man, that was such a great feeling. But now we're back in second place. So now it is time to see if we can try to hang out in first place for a little bit longer. We're going to go for the attack over here. We can't really fall back now, as there are 2 cars hanging out right behind us. We are in first place, going to wide through these couple of corners, and we're going to see if we can try to secure first place. And yes we are now in first place. Oh my goodness, first place in top split. Now that is something I never thought that would happen. So now I'm going to start to get really nervous. My heart's starting to beat really fast, even though we still have a couple laps to go. I'm getting a little too excited, I'm getting a little too nervous, and I'm just going to see if I can try to get through these corners cleanly, except I'm getting too nervous and I'm hitting the walls now. And I think at this point, it's not the cars behind me that are giving me the pressure, it's me that is giving myself the pressure of just being in first place. And I'm just trying so hard not to bin it, but I'm starting to make little bits of mistakes as we go throughout this race, and something ended up happening back there. I'm not sure what, but going back to me, I'm just trying to focus on myself, just trying to focus on my cool, just trying to keep my cool, as this is something that I honestly did not expect that would be happening in this race, or even in an FIA series race, to be a bit more honest about that. Honestly, that's something I've never thought that would be happening, but we ended up making that happen, and now it is time to see if we can try to keep first place, or at least try to retake it because of the slipstream, and see if we can finish this race in first place. So I'm just going to be guarding the heck out of this right-handed sign because I want to break on the inside. First place did end up passing us because of the slipstream, and we're going to see if we could try to just keep the inside line. Yes, we are for now. Our friend DC is hanging out right behind us. So we're just going to see if we can try to, once again, just keep our cool. Just try to stay as close as we can to first place and hopefully not end up getting passed by third place. It's a bit of a tall order for me because at this point I'm getting really nervous, I'm getting really excited as we inch closer to the end of the race, but I think it is still possible to try to pull it off. So we're going to skip on over to the start of lap 7, nothing really happening for the rest of this lap. And we're going to be under the slipstream of our friend Apple Pop and see if we could try to retake first place. Yes, we are, except we have our friend DC going along the left side. So he's going to see if he can retake first place, and yes, he is. So now it is a three-way battle, a really heated three-way battle for first place. And our friend in second place is going to see if he can try to retake before the turn starts, but no, unfortunately not. And first place is going to keep first place for now, except he goes a little bit wide. I'm trying to be a little aggressive, and I end up getting the car to slide around just a little bit, and just trying to really make my presence known, just trying to get in there. But unfortunately, nothing's really going to happen, but we do end up getting second place for the time being, so all is good. But we are slowly approaching the final lap, so it's going to be time to start to think about how I'm going to want to try to overtake him. Should I do it on the back straight, or should I wait until the very end of the final lap before, as he ends up hitting the wall, but I end up giving him a little bit of a bump, so that opportunity was instantly thrown out of the window. So we're not going to be able to make any moves as we are getting a little nervous. We are hitting the walls, and third place is going to try to sneak up on us, but we are able to defend the position for now. We do need to try to catch up to him so he doesn't end up breaking away from us. But back to the plan, should I try to overtake him on the main straight as we start the final lap, or get really close to him on the final hairpin of the final lap and try to overtake him just before we cross the finish line? Could be possible to do the latter, could be possible to do the former, but with the former we will have to try to defend ourselves and try to form a gap that is big enough so that he doesn't overtake us at the very end. So at this point, we're going to be hanging out right behind him under the slipstream, and it is time to decide whether I should hang out right behind him, wait until the very end to make a move, or should I go for the move now, defend the heck out of first place, and hope for the best. So we do have a bit of time to think and think and think as we do start the final lap, and at this point I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go ahead and go on the right side and just try to guard the inside line as we do end up passing our friend DC for first place on the final lap. And now I am getting extremely nervous. I can feel my heart beating really fast at this point. Now it is up to me to defend first place and just try not to mess up at all. And it's going to be insanely difficult for me to do that because I am so gosh darn nervous. I'm trying not to swear here. But as we inch closer and closer to the end of the race, I am getting even more nervous than I thought I could ever be. And at this point, my stomach is starting to hurt because I am getting so darn nervous. Just try to go through this chicane of death as smoothly as possible, and we are able to getting the car to slide around just a little bit, and we are slowly breaking away from second place. So if we could try to break away a little bit more, then we have a big chance of winning this race. We have to go through a couple more turns, just trying to be really careful through these couple of turns, just trying not to collide with anything, just trying not to even graze the wall because that will slow us down and that will end up having us pay a steep price. And especially as we go through the final hairpin, we have to try to get it right. We cannot overshoot it big time, because if we do end up overshooting it, then that's going to jeopardize the entire race. and we do end up braking just a little bit late, just trying to slow down as much as we can. We end up overshooting the turn just a little bit, just trying to get the car to rotate as quickly as possible, just trying to get on the throttle as quickly as possible. And this is it. This is the final stretch, and I am so darn nervous right now. My heart is beating really fast as we are getting closer and closer to the finish line. I'm just trying to weave around, just trying to break the toe. I do not want him to get any closer to me. Get away from me, get away from me, get away from me, get away from me. But at this point, this is where I finally knew this is it. This is it. This is it. You know, during my time in Gran Turismo Sport, I never thought that I'd end up being where I'm at now. I never thought that I'd be having tons of fun just making videos for you guys. I never thought that I'd be racing with some of the best guys in North America. And finally, I never thought that I'd be getting a top split win until now. This feeling that I had when I knew that I just got the win was different. I was honestly tearing up so much. I kind of had a bit of a hard time speaking, and I don't know, it was just such a unbelievable feeling. I mean, it's been a week since this race happened, and I still can't put together how I felt when I finally won that race. I feel like it was just like a build up of like all of these things, and it was such a crazy feeling. I don't know, I just couldn't believe that I got that win, a top split win. I don't know, something about it just had me just crying so much. I mean, I ended up crying like a puddle over here, but it was just such a crazy feeling. I don't know, it's just like one of those things where you're just like, did I just do that? And that was just me right there. In a moment, you're about to hear me just like being like, no way, no way. You're about to hear that in a moment, so I'll just go ahead and take you guys there. No way! No way! I know, it's super cheesy. Oh, but that's how I felt. I was just starting to cry so much. I mean, I was even starting to tear up just as I was about to cross the finish line. But there we go. This was my first win in a top split race. I never thought that I'd be able to pull that off, and I never thought I'd be saying that. But we are saying that because we finally achieved it, and it is such an amazing feeling. But that is all for this video. Thank you guys for watching it all the way to the end, and it is now time to sign off. Thank you guys for the amazing support. And I know we recently hit 7,000 subscribers, so I just want to give you guys just another huge thank you for helping the channel reach that milestone. But anyways, that is all for me. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA, the world's most okay player, and I'll see you in the next video.